Good morning to math students. Today we are continuing on with our algebraic expressions, and as I called this up, I noticed a big mistake that I made. That's a simple mistake, but I am human. So today we are not doing CO6. That was at the beginning of the year. I simply forgot to put a 3 in there. Today we are doing CO36. So if you are at home, you can digitally put a 3 in on today's page. If you are in the classroom, I'm asking that you handwrite it on there that this is CO36. Oof, we've gone much farther than CO6. So we are on CO36. I can solve one-step equations with multiplication or division. This is just adding on to what we were doing yesterday. So yesterday we were doing one-step equations with adding and subtracting. Today we are going to be doing it with multiplying or dividing. Same concept. So we have those inverse operations are the ones that undo themselves. So the opposite of adding with subtracting, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. Because multiplication and division are inverse operations, you can use division to solve a multiplication equation. So like we did yesterday, we're going to do the opposite. So let me scroll up. So division property of equality. Solve and check. Okay, let's look at what we're doing. If it's negative 3x, what operation is that? If our number is right next to the letter, what operation does that tell us to do, Tristan? Multiplication. So negative 3x is multiplying. What's the opposite of multiplying? Zoe? Dividing. So if we were multiplying by negative 3, now we need to divide by negative 3. What we do to one side, we do to the other side. Remember that fraction bar means divide. So we have negative 3 over negative 3. They cancel each other out, and we're left with just the x. 45 divided by negative 3. How many times can we take negative 3 out of 45? How many times can 3 come out of 45? 15 times. 15. Now we need to remember our negative and positive rules. If we are multiplying or dividing a positive and a positive, our answer will be positive. If it's a negative and a negative, our answer will be positive. If we're multiplying or dividing a negative by a positive or a positive by a negative, the answer is going to be negative. So this was a positive 45 and a negative positive 45, negative 3. So our answer needs to be negative. So you have to remember those positive, negative rules. Let's look at 6a. By multiplying 6 times a, because remember when we're right next to that letter, it means multiply. Opposite of multiply is divide. So I need 6 divided by 6 leaves me just our a. 54 divided by 6 gives me what, Will? 9. Positive or negative? Positive, because it's a positive divided by a positive. Let's look at our next one. Negative 13b. What step do I need to do, Peyton?
You have to find out what this means.
How do I do that? What operation am I doing when it says negative 13b? What operation are we doing? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing.
Addition.
You see the adding sign there?
No.
What does it mean when it's right next to the letter?
There's subtraction.
No, there's no subtraction sign there.
Multiplication.
It means we're multiplying it. We just don't put that multiplication sign in there. So when our number is right next to the letter, when the number is right next to a parentheses, we know that the operation is multiplying. So we want to do the opposite of multiplying. What is the opposite of multiplying? Division. So if we multiplied by -13, now we want to divide by -13. -13 divided by -13 is 1. So we don't have to put the 1 in front of our letter. We just know that it means 1. So now we have to do the same thing to our other side. 65 divided by -13. Aiden? 5. Very good. Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, because we have a positive and a negative. And remember, when there's a positive and a negative, our answer will be negative. So always double check. Is my answer going to be positive or negative? Remember, we can use our multiplication tables in our daily planners, our assignment planners. We can use our calculators. Okay, it does not say no calculators allowed. So you can punch in 65 divided by -13. If you don't know how to do a negative on your calculator, do 65 divided by 13, and you know if it's going to be positive or negative. Zoe? For this, yes, you'll be able to use your calculator. Not on the math test, yes, use the calculator they provide. So how are we feeling about doing the opposite of multiplying? Feeling good? Let's look at doing the opposite of dividing. Same concept is going to apply. Let me scroll up. Again, we need to remember positive and a positive equals a positive. Negative, negative equals a positive. Positive, negative is negative. Negative, positive. The answer will be a negative. So you need to remember those. We've done this in previous objectives. You need to remember that.
So we can have this on like the help sheet.
Yes, you can have it on your help sheet. Most definitely. I'm putting it up here to help you. That means use it. Put it on a help sheet. It will help you on the test. Positive times are, this is only for multiplying and dividing, not adding and subtracting. Adding and subtracting, you have to think of the number line. Positive, positive equals a positive is for multiplying and dividing. So if we have x, and this is a slash, so that means x over 2 equals 0.75. So what does that fraction bar mean? What operation do we do when we see the fraction bar? We're dividing. So x divided by 2 equals 0.75. So what's the opposite of dividing? Just multiplying. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So if I'm multiplying 2 times divided by 2, that's going to cancel out. And then I have 0.75 times 2.
Okay. 0.75.
Well,
Isn't that 1.50?
it is 1.5. Positive or negative, Will? Positive, because we have a positive and a positive, so it's going to equal a positive. Let's look at our next one. C over 2 equals 13. C over 2 means C divided by 2. Lily, what's the opposite? So multiply by what? I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Multiply by 2, divide by 2, cancel out. What is 13 times 2, Lily? 26. Now we have S. Oh, and is that a positive or a negative, Lily? Positive, because it was a positive 2 and a positive 13. Let's look at our next one. S over negative 4 equals 3. What am I going to do? Zoe,
You can multiply.
multiply by what?
Um,
You're right, I am multiplying because there's that dividing fraction bar. What am I multiply by? Negative 4. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 4 because that's what I was dividing by. So you take whatever you're dividing by, and that's what you multiply by. So negative 4 times negative 4 divided by negative 4 cancels each other out. So we're left with just our S. What is 3 times negative 4? Gregory. 3 times 4, Gregory. 12. Is it going to be positive or negative, Gregory? Yes. You're right. We had a positive 3 and a negative 4. Positive and a negative. Our answer is negative. Solve and check. How do we check our problems? Zoe, do you remember?
Yeah, you do it just how it's set up.
Yeah, you were plugging in our variable for the variable. We're plugging in the answer into that variable. So let's look at our solve and checks on the bottom. Negative 4 equals 2/3 x. So what operation am I doing there? Am I multiplying or dividing? Am I multiplying or dividing there? Nolan? I'm 2/3 is right next to the x, so I'm multiplying. So what's the opposite?
Dividing. Multiplying, it's dividing.
Yeah. So how do I divide by 2/3?
No, you
Nolan?
have to like put the 1 under the 4, and then you gotta like switch 3 over 2.
Oh, we need that reciprocal. You're right, because if we're dividing by 2/3, the opposite would be multiplying by the reciprocal. So if we have negative 4 and we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, so negative 4 times 3 is a negative 12. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So let's plug that in and let's see if that works. So if we put negative 6 in and times that by 2/3. Two times negative 6 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3. 12 divided by 3 gives us, negative 12 divided by 3 gives us negative 4. Is that my solution?
Yes.
It is. So to check to see if you had your right answer, so Nolan, when you were working out that adding and subtracting, which way do I go on the number line? Check your work. When you get that answer, plug it into the variable. Does it make sense?
Alright.
If it doesn't work out right, you go, oh, I bet I went the wrong way on my number line. Let me go the other way and see if that way works. But that's how you can check it. So when we get on the test, you're going to want to check your work and make sure that you do it correctly. So here we have 4/5 r equals 1. Am I multiplying or dividing here? No.
Multiplying because it's the opposite of
Right,
dividing.
4/5 times r, because it's right next to the r. So I'm going to want to do what? Divide.
Divide.
So I'm going to divide by 4/5. Now how is that going to look? If I'm dividing by 4/5, because remember, dividing by 4/5 is really
That's also times
multiplying by 5/4. 5/4 times 4/5 equals 1. So we want 1 times 5/4. 1 times 5/4 is 5/4. 4/5 times 5/4 equals 1. So if we plug that in, this is the equation that we get. 20 over 20 is the same as 1. So remember, when you're multiplying or dividing, you're doing the reciprocal. -2 equals 2/5 t. 2/5 times t. We want to do the opposite. We want to divide. Dividing with a fraction means you're multiplying by the reciprocal. So we multiply by 5/2, multiply by 5/2. And this is a -2. So that gives us a -10 over 2. -10 over 2 is what, Nolan? -5. We put a -5 into our initial equation. We had 2/5 times -5. Remember, you can just put a 1 over that whole number. 2 times -5 is -10. 5 times 1 is 5. -10 divided by 5 gives me my -2. And it works. How are we feeling about this?
Very confident.
I love that response. And it is okay if we're not so confident. This is why we do work problems on it. So we have 10 minutes of time to do our work problems. Let's just do the front side, page 89.
Alright.
Okay? I want us just to really focus on that front side. Get page 89 done. So those of us at home, I know I put page 90 also on there. Just do 89. Yesterday's adding and subtracting was page 87. So today we're doing page 89. Tomorrow we'll do page 91. I said that wrong at the end of class yesterday. So we need to make sure we have that adding and subtracting practice done. Now we're doing our multiplying and dividing practice. So for my friends at home, we hope you are doing well, feeling okay, and we really hope we get to see you soon. We miss you. Have a good day.